Hello there. Thank you ever so much for popping in again. It's nice to see you. Today I thought I'd take you along on a bit of a journey with me that I'm going to use something I've fully made, and it didn't turn out properly. I shouldn't have sent it for hallmarking, but I did. I look at it now and I wonder why I went so far with it. But it just doesn't work. I walk past it day in, day out. It's not balanced. It's just not right in so many ways. But there's only so much I can do with it because I don't want to mess up the hallmarking because I've paid for that. So I don't really want to spoil that. But anyway, let me show it to you first before I tell you some of my ideas. This is what it is. It's 2 ginkgo leaves with an amber, with a beautiful amber, I do have to say. So it's 2 ginkgo leaves, but as you can see, it's just not balanced. It's just wrong. How it's wrong, I haven't fully worked out. That's why I've kept walking past it. Let's put it against my top there, and then you can probably see it a little bit better. All right, let's shift those out of the way and put it here on my neck. Put it there like that for you. It's just not right. It's very skinny at the top and wide at the bottom. I think it's too long. I just don't know. So this will be, it will be a project that just evolves as it goes along, to be honest with you. I've got a couple of ideas, but nothing absolutely set in stone. So if I show it to you closer up, there it is. Beautiful, beautiful amber. Even the jump ring, look, I've made a mess of. I clearly was getting very disgruntled and very put off by the whole thing as I was finishing it. So I don't know why I carried on with it really. But there it is in all its glory. If I turn it round, let's see. Yeah, you can probably see. Yeah, the hallmark is on this bit, the back plate of the amber. See it? So what my idea is that basically I probably cut this off somewhere across here. Oh, here's my trusty pen again. If I cut it off, let me hold it still first. If I cut it off across there, or a bit lower down, and finish these off with a couple of swirls. I mean, I shall even take that jump ring off again. The jump ring is tall and thin because it had to go over these very long arms that I left at the top. As you can see, there is no one piece of it that's right, apart from the beautiful amber, I think. So something needs to be done with these here. Whether I make them shorter, possibly make them shorter. I could swirl them into a circle, but I'm not a big lover of swirls, if I was to be honest with you. Although the odd one here and there, I suppose, wouldn't hurt. But I think I'd prefer to have those just cut off. Let me come a bit nearer. Just cut off at the top, and then cut it across at the bottom. And do something with those bottom pieces. So I think if I did that, cut it across there. Actually, let me show you the back. These stems off the ginkgo leaves, they're not even part of the ginkgo leaf. I think I'm being a bit too honest here, because they're pieces of wire that I've flattened and I've just soldered to the back of the leaves, which would be fine if everything else was fine, but it clearly isn't. It's a long way from being fine. So my idea is, as I say, probably shorten those. What I need to do first is cut that off across there, and then I could probably make Can I do that? I could probably make quite a nice tidy little pendant out of that bit, and it's already hallmarked and it's all ready to go. So that could go back in my cabinet, be put on my website, and we would be good to go really with that. Clearly take off this horrendous jump ring. I mean, look at it. It is just embarrassing. Why did I do it? I mean, I'm not blind. I hope I'm not that stupid either. I mean, I just know the faults, but I still carried on with it. Ridiculous. So basically, I think that will be the easy bit. Take that off, do something with the ends of those wires, do something with the ends of those wires, put another jump ring on, and I think that will be a simple piece. So basically, I'm hoping that we're going to end up with 2 really nice pendants out of this. So that also, the reason I want to cut that off and not do very much at it is because I can't solder it because it's got the amber in it. And also, I don't really want to start soldering it and messing about with it because it's actually, as I say, got the hallmark on the back. So if we get rid of that off the top of there, I think we can pretty quickly and pretty easily, hopefully, make a nice pendant out that top bit. But that then leaves us with this horrendous lot that we've got at the bottom. What do we do with that? They're really nice ginkgo leaves. They're a nice shape. Let's get rid of that. They're a nice shape. I like how they're all very nicely shaped. I like the slits in them up the middle. And I think they are a good ginkgo leaf. But if I can get it a bit closer, there's hardly any texturing on it. And what texturing on it, I'm going to be brutally honest here, looks absolutely pathetic. Maybe it'd be better if I put that there. Absolutely awful. So once we've got that in 2 bits, we then have to decide, because I'll end up with 2 very short stems on the back of there. That would work. I could make that work. We could join. We could either take them off altogether, which would be easily done. Just if there's such a word as unsolder, then we could unsolder it. So we could take that off, or we could leave it on and just basically make a feature of where they cross there at the top. But actually, they're not going to cross there because I'm going to cut off about there for the top pendant. So I'll probably be left with something like that. I could make that work easily. And actually, when you do that, that actually looks quite balanced. The two stems. I need more texture on those leaves. Now, to put more texture on those leaves, because they're really nice and ripply as well. I am happy with the way I've formed them, with the way they're all ripply. And I like all the indentations in there. But if I want to put more texture in, it's going to flatten them. So I think the best thing I could do is probably anneal them to soften them up again. Flatten them. Take out all my lovely rippling effect and retexture them. Because if I get a nice texture on, I can soon get those ripple effects back into the leaves. So I think to start with, I might do that. Now, what do? Do I leave short little bits? These are all the problems we're going to have as we go along. And as I say, I'd like to take you along on this journey with me because I'm thinking as I'm going. Also, there is something else. Well, what I was going to say was there'd be 2 little stems. I could live with that. I don't mind that. So I could either take them off or leave them on and do something with them. And I think I might be happy either way at this moment, depending on how things change as we go along. Now, the 2 leaves, one leaf is soldered on top of the other. Now, I was never sure whether I was happy with the angle that was. It does work better against this navy blue top, doesn't it? Let's get rid of the chain. Oh, come on, get out. Do you know, I'm going to take that chain off. Otherwise I'm going to be dancing around it the whole time I'm talking about it. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Okay. So, is that a good angle? Well, I suppose it's not too bad. We've got that facing that one. I don't know. I think this is how I've ended up with this problem with it, because I think I've just done things as I've gone along and then thought that doesn't work. But what would work? I think that is also the other issue. What would work? And I don't know what would work now. So would I be, the main question now is, if we cut that off, we've decided we can take that top bit away, we can do something with that quite nicely and quite simply. Then the bottom bit. Do we take it all to bits? Do we take the leaves apart? Do we take the stems off? Do we take it all to bits and start again? Or do we cut it off and try and make something of it as it is? Make a nice brooch, actually. I keep putting it on this because it's a dark background, but in actual fact it would make a nice brooch. So can you see my problems? I think basically we'll leave the chit chat there. You know the problems, I've pointed out the problems. Whether I'll regret pointing out all those issues to you, this should never have been a finished piece. It's just not good enough. It's nothing I would have liked to sell. And, in all honesty, I'm not sure it's anything I would wear either. It's just not the right, it's not the right balance, which is what I said at the beginning. And I do like my jewellery to be balanced. Individually, I think it might make two lovely, lovely pieces of jewellery. So I think we'll leave the chit-chat there. As I say, we'll get on with cutting it in half. I'll see you in a little while. The first thing we'll do is completely get rid of this awful jump ring. Can you see? Right, let's get rid of that. Now, I bought these pliers because I thought, move that out there, we might be able to just curl those over. What do you think? I've still got time to snip these off if I don't like it. If these need annealing, then it's tough anyway. They're going to have to come off because I can't heat up that amber, or else it will spoil it altogether. No, it's not going to work. I think we're going to cut them off. Let's get this into two parts to start with. And this is what I say about it. It will evolve as we go along, because who knows what's going to happen. Let's cut these on the angle. Got that one on that angle. one on that angle. Right. Woohoo! We've now ended up with 3 pieces of jewellery. Three components, shall we say. Let's put them over there for you. Now, the other issue is that those two are not soldered together, which is a big issue. So I've got to think about what to do. That was something I hadn't thought of before, but it hadn't been soldered at any point. It had just been twisted. Oh, hang on. Oh, I think we might be lucky. I thought I'd soldered it. Wow, we are very, very lucky that I've cut it where I did, because that is actually soldered in there. I can't separate those two. Whew. So that will make a solid piece of jewellery. I just need to tidy those ends up. I'm going to take those off. Let's go for it. In for a penny. I'll leave them protruding out a little bit and round them off with the file. Whoa. We really are going for this, aren't we? Right, there's a lot of expensive components in this, so it'd be nice if we could get it right. Okay, so we could put a nice dainty little, where's my pen? We could put a nice dainty little jump ring in there now. Those are soldered together, we've just got to finish the ends off. We've got some nice little scraps there to do something else with when we're ready. And we've got this enormous amount of silver. And I know I keep saying it, but it's ever so expensive at the moment. So if we can make something nice out of that, I will be more than delighted. Let's move you over so you can see. So I think we've made a little bit of progress. What I'm going to do next is go away and file those tidy. And then we've virtually got a pendant there, all ready made, all basically ready to go. And isn't it pretty? And then we've got a honker of a, and the beauty of this is now that the amber, take the amber away from it, the beauty of that is that we can heat it, we can solder it, we can bash it about. In fact, we can do whatever we blooming well like with it. So, having got rid of that gives us so many options for that. We could, if we wanted to, we could flatten a piece out and we could solder another bezel on there and put another amber, say an amber on. Or I'm just trying to have a look around and see what I've got on my bench. Oh, there's a tiny little amber there that's not actually set, but look at that. Look at that. Something like that. That would get some texture in it. That might pretty it up, or even put it on that side there. So I think I'm very pleased. I'm so pleased we've cut it up. I truly, truly am. So we're getting somewhere. That may never be used, but who knows, we may use it if we feel like it. Okay, for this moment in time, I'll go off and do the filing. Right, there we are. In less than 5 minutes, can you believe I've been looking at this necklace for months and months and months. Within 5 minutes, I've got a very, very pretty pendant, all finished, all ready to go, all hallmarked. And I couldn't be more pleased with that. I don't know if you can see it. That's how it's ended up. I've put a nice little strong jump ring on because obviously I can't solder it, so I've put a nice hefty jump ring on, but it is round and it does meet, and it's far superior to the one that was on there. So there we go. One very, very pretty pendant. And if we were to go no further with what's left over, I'm much better off now than I was, or I have been, for these last several months. So very pleased with that. I'll put it on my website and see if anybody would like to buy it, I think. I'm very pleased with that. Okay, on to the next batch. So there they are, all the little bits we've got left from what we started with. There's the beautiful little pendant that's all finished, ready to go. We now have 2 little bits I've chopped off from the top of that pendant. A cruddy old jump ring that should never have been on there in the first place, and 2 little ginkgo leaves. So here we go. Let's go and see what we got. I think the next thing I'm going to do is anneal these and flatten them, and then we'll see where we go from there. Oh, I think that's flat enough. That's quite flat, so we can get some texture on that now. See that texture? Oh, that is just beyond terrible, that texture that I called finished. Oh, it gets more embarrassing every time I look at it, this pendant does. Anyway, we see if we can do a bit better than that. Okay, I've now got the flattened silver ginkgo leaf. What I didn't say was how I got the ginkgo leaf was I printed out a picture. Try to find you. Where are you? Oh, there. I printed out a picture of a ginkgo leaf, and I print mine onto sticky address labels, basically. Stick it onto my adhere it onto my silver sheet, and then cut round it with a saw. So and then file it. So that's basically how I arrived at that point. Before I did everything else at it. So what I've got is I've printed off a picture of a ginkgo leaf, because that actually shows me how the texturing basically should go. All the lines are coming from a central point, and if you notice nearer to the edges, some of these lines, they split into 2. Some of them break up altogether, but here you see we've got these splitting up into 2 and there are only 1 of this. So that's basically how it's how the leaf is formed. So what I've done is got my piece of silver, and on one part of it I've marked with with a fine liner pen, I've marked lines similar to what's in there, which I think probably is near enough. So my next problem was, what do I make that texture with? I didn't want to go just hitting it with a hammer or a chisel or whatever randomly. I wanted to work out how this pattern's going to be. So let me go through my thought process with you, really. I've got an old piece of copper here that I was practicing on. First of all, I've got this type of hammer. Now, this would be all right if it wasn't such a chunky, great big thing that I've probably, I don't know where it's come from, probably from the DIY store. But as you can see, it's too thick. You hit the piece of copper, and all you get is it just moves the metal really and leaves an indentation. If you've got a finer little tiny riveting hammer, that might be a different kettle of fish, but that's all I've got, so I'm going to put that on one side because that's absolutely useless. My next tryout on here, as you can see I've got a few scratches and things, is a graver. Just a cheap old graver from eBay, I think it was originally, a long time ago. And these are such useful tools for many things. And what I've done here, if I get the light on it, you can probably see, I've made scratches into this. And you can be quite accurate with it. And it's probably a good thing to use to start with. But in my mind, that's not deep enough. It will soon, by the time I've sanded it and polished it, I don't think. It probably would take some patina, but in my mind, that's not enough. Then I went to this corner. And what I did was, I started by doing this with the graver. But as you can probably see, that is quite deep. And what I've got in my drawer is this little fellow here, which is a little Dremel Engraver. Oh, I had this for a Christmas present several years, 3 or 4 years ago probably. And in that 3 or 4 years, I think I've probably used it twice. But I thought I'd have a go on it. I may be using it a lot more after that. Oh, sorry, I did miss one thing out that I also have. Sorry, let's retrace to my thought process, which seems to be jumping around all over the place. These cold chisels are really good. This particular one came in a set of 3, small, medium and large, but it's got a really sharp little edge on it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's really quite fine. And if I put it on here, let's put it on there so you can see. See if I can keep my hands out of the way. Let me do it over here. Just have to get my hands in for a minute. As you can see, that actually, the mark it made then was that one there. And it does make, that's a good mark. I've recently made a pendant using this cold chisel. And it was a superb, well, I'm probably more pleased with that pendant than I've been with a lot of things I've made. It was absolutely superb. It was a commission and it was for a special birthday and it had a tanzanite in it. And I used this chisel, you can see how fine it is there. I used this cold chisel to do the texturing on it. And it was quite deep, what would you call it? A quite deep band of sterling silver. And I used that and I was so pleased with it. Unfortunately, they were very pleased with it as well. But I don't think that's what I need for the job. In fact, what I think I need for the job is this little baby that has hardly been out of the drawer since I had it. I'm going to switch it on and show you how it works. Let me get that in. Let's move up a bit. Get that into shot, get it out of the shadow, and switch it on. I probably need a lot more practice with this than I've had, but I've had a couple of goes on this piece of copper. I'm going to have another little go to show you now, and then I think I'm just going to dive in. Maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should practice some more, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But let me show you how this works. I'll start on a fresh piece here, and I've only got this on number 1. It goes from the dial goes from number 1 to number 5 in halves as well. It goes 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and so on. Can you see? Oh, you probably can see that there, yeah. But you know, it's such a nice little gadget. I think it was about £20 when it was bought for me. It wasn't very much, because I was asked what I'd like, and I checked out that it wasn't going to cost an arm and a leg before I asked for it. So anyway, let's switch it on at the back here. It's very noisy, so I probably won't speak now, but I'll just show you how it works. You hold it like a pen. So that's how that works. So I think I'm going to take my life in my hands and have a go on this. Now, I don't think I'm going to do it on that block. I think I'm going to do it on this white. Let's take the block out of the way. The block's made that dirty. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, first of all, go from that tip right down to where that opening, oh sorry, let me get back in here. I'm going to go from here and I'm going to go down the centre to the middle of that opening there. So, right, hold on. Wish me luck. Let's see what we can do. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do a bit more of this because I'm having to hold this at the engraver at a funny angle to keep so that it's not blocked. You see, if I do it upright as I should do it, it's blocking the view for you. So what I'm going to do, you can see where I'm going now with this. I'm going to do a few more lines, and basically I'll do half of the leaf and get rid of the pen. And then I'll come back and we'll compare the two sides and see what we think. Okay, I'll get off and do that then. Okay, excuse me. Well, there's the first half engraved. That's probably a bit extreme because the light's shining straight on it. But I think it's a nice depth. Once it feels a tiny bit rough to my finger, but I think once that's sanded that and patinaed, I think that might look really pretty. So what I'm going to do is carry on now, do the little one, and come back and I'll show you when I've done that, and we'll see where we go from there. Yes, but that's how it is. So my little Dremel engraver may come out of the drawer a little bit more often now. because I'm certainly pleased with that. And I think once it's finished off, it'll look a heck of a lot better. Okay, I'll go off and I'll do the rest. Right, as I say, I get asked about this quite a lot, how I do the lovely smooth curves in jewellery without getting a ridge, because it's very easy to try and move metal and it not go in a smooth curve, but it'll go in a ridge. So I use several things, and I don't always use the same things. In fact, I don't even know if these are going to work that I've got here today. But what I'm starting with, and if it doesn't work, then I'll share that with you too, needs to be annealed. I may have to anneal this some more, and I probably won't get through the whole lot of it without it being annealed. So we've got the front there. This is all now been soldered, and that's the back, and we will work on both. But anyway, at the moment, what I've got here is a triplet. Is what they call a triplet. It's like a ring mandrel triplet, whatever. And I've got a sandbag, so that, and I've got a mallet, a leather mallet. I've also got here, just in case, I've got what they call a swage block. You get them in metal as well, and with all different sized bridges in it. And this particular one wasn't an expensive one. It's got like little hammers that you put your metal on there, and you put that on top, and then you hit it with your leather mallet, and it pushes it into that hole. And we may even use this. Excuse me. So let's have a go. Let's make this actually, for what this triplet is actually perfect for what we want to do, because we do want it narrower at the top and wider at the bottom to go with the shape of the leaf. But anyway, let's have a few. You can't really do anything wrong, because we can always, as I showed earlier on, we can always level it out again and start again. So let's start. I'm using this sandbag because I want it curved. I don't want big harsh lines in it. So so if you can see that, it has started to go. You can see the shading there. This is flat. This has started to move, but it will take a lot more movement than that. So we're just going to basically keep working it. Keep working it, keep annealing it, work it, anneal it. I might put it up there. Let's excuse me. Let me just have a little try at this and see if it works. Because as I say, my method is trial and error, and I will use anything that I think might work. Let's put that level in there. I think it might need annealing actually. Yeah, it needs another annealing. So what I'll do is I will go off and I'll do some annealing. But as you can see, I don't know if you can see. I think you can. Yeah, you can see that's begun now to get some nice waves in it. What we want to do is make it a bit more wavy than that, and then do it all the way around. So I'll go off and anneal this, and I'm sure that'll make it a lot easier for us. So bear with. Right, this one's been annealed now, so let's give it another go and see if it works. See what happens. Yeah, that's working. Sorry, I've come out of shot. I'm concentrating so hard. I just realised I'm not speaking either. It's gonna need a little bit more work than I thought. So let's carry on. It'll come. I've done enough of these to know it will work. It's just a matter of keep working it and keep working it. Keep softening it. You must be able to see that it's not even lying flat now on the block. So it's yeah. Once this is polished, you'll see. Actually, you can probably see those now. It is working. So I'm just going to keep working away at this because it's going to be very boring for you just to keep watching me annealing and hitting with a hammer and annealing. But you can see it there. It's very different than the other side, which is virtually flat. But that's got a fair old ridge in it now. So I'm just going to keep working away at that, and I'll come back to you when we're there. Hopefully, when we're there. See you later. Right, here it is. I didn't use anything else other than the rawhide mallet or leather mallet, whichever you choose to call it. I'm not sure. I think you can see the ripples. The light's not helping. Yeah, you can see the ripples. I've annealed it a couple of times, and I did resort to hitting a lot harder. But and it's probably not showing up terribly well. Let's see if I can do it close. Can you see? Now you can probably see the ripples. So what I'm going to do is anneal it again, just give it one more tidy up with the hammer and the triplet, and then I shall polish it, and then I'll come back to you. But I'm really pleased with how that's coming. It's got a really nice gentle curve on it. I think you can see it now. So yeah, bear with me again, and I'll just do a little bit more work on it. It doesn't need a lot. I'll just, as I say, I'll anneal it, give it one more hit in with the triplet and the hammer, and then polish it up. But that should be all it's needed. Because actually, I do have to say, I'm looking at it now under this light, and I moved over to my other bench. The bench I'm filming on here isn't as solid as the one I normally do my hammering on, so I've moved my sandbag over to my other bench. But I'm actually quite pleased with how that's coming, so very little more work. So I'll come back to you when I've done. Okay, here we go. I've said I'd be perfectly honest with you. This will be warts and all. I annealed it again. I've whacked it again. Actually, from this angle you can see that I've managed to get some lovely curves in that on the little one as well, and on this big one. Let's see if you can see better from the back. Whoa, yes, look at that. So when that's all polished and finished sanding and everything, that will be really pretty. So that's the front. But what happened in the process, and it couldn't have been soldered properly, otherwise it wouldn't have happened. But what's happened is, I don't know if you can see, this little leaf has come unsoldered from the leaf at the back. Let me stand up. Let me show you. That has come unsoldered from that. Now that's got to be soldered to that. It gives it stability. It'll stop it from catching on anything. But as I say, it is warts and all, and I will always be honest with you, because these things happen to everybody. Just because some people take that bit of the film out and don't show it to you doesn't mean it's not happening. So there we go. I'll go and I'm going to pickle it. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm actually now going to pickle that, because in my opinion the pickle will get up in between these two and clean it out properly, and then I'll flux it, put a little bit more solder on it, and away we go. So that's it for a little while. I'll go off and sort out this issue. All right, see you later. Right, I'm happy with the ripples I've got there. That's the back. me show you. It's all nice and ripply, it's textured, pleased with that. I've now got a jump ring on here with a bit of flux and a bit of solder. You can see it. So I'm going to solder that now. Whoops, sorry. I'm trying to watch you and watch what I'm doing with this flame. A bit of heat sink from the tweezers and the big piece of silver actually. Just try and warm that up a bit, see if we can get this to flow. I've put hard solder on there, so that's not helping my situation. But hopefully it'll go soon. Just warm up these tweezers so they're not taking all the heat from us. Come on, don't let me down. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Right. What we have here is the pendant, the ginkgo leaf, with the soldered jump ring, and then I've got the little bezel for the tiny amber, and I'm going to solder that little bezel on now. What I've got supporting the little bezel is basically one of these, this little ceramic honeycomb block really. Is very useful, and it's got all these little things in that you can prop things up for soldering, etc. So I've got one of those underneath, otherwise the bezel is dropping lower than I want it for soldering. So what I've done is, I don't know if you can see it, yes you can, I have popped in there some flux, a little piece of solder to go that side, and on this side I've done exactly the same, and there's a little piece of solder. So hopefully it's going to join on those two sides. There'll be enough bezel left high enough up, because I've supported it, to fold over to set the amber stone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the camera down now. I'm going to concentrate on this. Oh, I can show you if you want. Actually, I can do this. I can do this. Okay, let's see. So we start on, as always, on the large piece of metal. That's what we want to heat first, because we want to get everything at the same temperature. The flux is bubbling up a little just from the heat that I'm putting on this large piece of metal here. So what we want to do is keep the excuse me, keep the flame so that it doesn't go directly onto that bezel, because we don't want it to melt. We also need to be careful that we're not going to melt any of these other soldered joints that we've done along the way. So I'm going to work our way up. You can see the flux has gone brown there. Warm up here. Keep the larger part warm as well, so that it don't draw the heat away from where we're trying to solder. So let's see if we can get this so that you can see it flow. The bezel's getting red. Excuse me, I've got a tickle there, and that one's gone, and that one's gone. Okay, what we do now is quench, pickle, rinse and dry. So I'll go off and do that and we'll see what we end up with. That's come out of the pickle. It's all nice and dry and got that lovely white film on it, which is the film, the colour that the pickle leaves on it. So what we've got now is everything soldered. Fingers crossed. So with no more soldering, no more pickling. What I'll have to do is just tidy up a little bit with a file on that jump ring, and maybe a little bit round the bezel, and then I'm going to give it a bit of a polish, and we'll see you back here. It'll then be time for setting the stone, and I think we might just be at the end of our very marathon journey. So let's see what we come up with next. Okay, we've now got it soldered and polished. I'm going to add some platinum onto it to bring out the texture. So I'm just going to add it to the front actually, because I don't really want it. This is very effective, this platinum. It works so quickly. But it's just, I thought you might like to see what I do next. Don't really want that jump ring to be platinum, so I'm going to move it out of the way. I always apply platinum with a brush, because you can be very specific at where you put it, obviously. And you can add more in layers as well. You can darken it. So if I were to go over it again with another layer, I could darken it, and I could darken it in just certain areas if I wanted to. But this, I'm going to just put on one coat and then polish it off, and hopefully all that nice patina will stay into that texture, and we'll see what we've got after that. So that's that. I'll leave it to dry a minute or two, dry it off, and then I'll polish it up, and we'll see what we've got there. That looks very different, doesn't it? Okay, let's see what this turns out like. Here we are, they're all done. How to turn one pendant into two. The light's not actually brilliant in here. We altered the clock a couple of days ago here, and it's getting dark a bit early, but I'm very pleased with that. I absolutely thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. It's been a lot more of a marathon of a video than I was expecting it to be, but if you want to turn one pendant into two, then maybe this will be of help to you. Thanks so much for joining me. See you next time.